Hello everyone, thank you for joining us in today's RAM mounts product training session. In today's session, we're going to be talking about the top level intro to RAM and answering the question of what are RAM mounts. So whether you're onboarding or simply interested in learning more about RAM mounts and all the different types of products that RAM offers, this is the greatest tool to get started as there's a lot of information to cover. And so this training session will cover the ins and outs from a top level perspective so that you have a basic understanding of how these products work. So to answer the question of what are RAM mounts, the basic answer to the question is RAM mounts are simply rugged mounting systems for supporting any electronic device or any non-electronic device in virtually any vehicle or environment. Given the rigidity of the materials used in RAM mounts, they're suited for any rugged environment, whether it's an ATV or UTV, for any truck, forklift, boat, anywhere on water, on road, in the air. So we have aircraft mounting solutions, and it can support any device, whether it's a phone, tablet, laptop, camera, cup holder, any kind of device that you need mounted, and you can mount it in virtually any environment. And so you can see in the in-use photos here, you can have a phone mounted to the windshield of your UTV. We have laptop mounting solutions that can attach to the passenger side seat bolts in a truck or vehicle. We have forklift mounting applications and boat mounting applications, many other options to choose from. RAM mounts are located in Seattle, Washington in the USA, but products are sold actively in 6 different continents over 20 different countries. And we have over 5,000 SKUs. And the main concept that we like to say with RAM mounts is that you can essentially mount anything anywhere. So you take any combination of your phone, tablet, laptop, any other kind of device, any kind of a handheld device, and you can mount it to any vehicle, essentially, whether it's a truck, boat, aircraft, forklift, motorcycle, and also a lot of non-rugged environments. It could be static environments, such as at-home solutions. We have mounts for accessibility and wheelchairs. You can pretty much mount anything anywhere with the modularity of these mounting components. So to get a better understanding of the RAM difference in terms of comparing what RAM offers in comparison to other mounting providers out there, the 3 top level features of understanding what makes RAM different than any other mounting company is the fact that our mounts are rugged, that they're adjustable, and that they are modular. So rugged in the sense that you can mount it in virtually any environment, no matter what levels of shock and vibration are out there. The adjustability lets you set your device to the perfect mounting angle so that it's easy to view and access while mounted. And the modularity of our systems let you build any custom mounting solutions. You can interchange bases and holders, you can have different arm extensions, so you can really build anything custom using these different components. And to top it off, all mounting components are backed by a lifetime warranty. So next we're going to explore the double ball and socket design, which is somewhat of a hallmark design that RAM is most known for. The way the double ball and socket design works is that you have these interchangeable components that can be shown in this exploded view here, where you can see at the bottom you have a ball base, and then in the middle you have a socket arm, and then at the top you have the exact same ball base that's at the bottom, but it's angled upward, and this second ball base up top will connect to any device adapter or device holder that is made. So among these 3 categories, you can see that there is a wide range of different components to choose from. So this really highlights the modularity of these components. So whether it's a drill down, cup holder base, track, rail base, or suction cup, and then between the socket arms, you have short, medium, and long. And then up top, you can adapt to virtually any different type of device. So that's the basic concept of how you can mount anything anywhere is you can take any device holder, take any socket arm, and take any ball base. You can mix and match, build any kind of custom solution, and that's what allows you to mount anything anywhere. So RAM mounts have been the original double ball and socket mounting concept out there. There are other brands that have taken on a similar design, but we do take pride in the distinctive hourglass shape that is a registered trademark of National Products, Inc. And so this is considered the shape that started it all in terms of this unique mounting concept. So now we're going to take a look at the ball and socket sizes. So we have the modularity of the components, but those are all interchangeable within the same size class of the ball that's being used. And as you can see here, there are different ball sizes to choose from. And these are all letter coded, so ranging from A size to E size, and then the 3 most common being the B size, C size, and D size. The different sizes of these ball bases and ball and socket components will depend on the weight capacity that it's supporting. So something very lightweight, something handheld, is going to work with a smaller ball like the B size, and then something very large like a heavy duty monitor is going to take something more like the D size, and you have everything in the middle there. So you have the letter coding of these, A through E, and then we have specific diameter ranges on each of these as well. So we'll go a little more in detail with each of these here now. Starting with the A size, this is a 9/16 inch diameter ball with a weight rating of up to a half pound. And now when it comes to both the extreme ends, whether it's the A size and also the E size, there are the least number of common applications. The only known application for A size that I'm aware of are for small security cameras. Now, the reason why the B size, the next size up, is so much more common is because it actually has a lower cost to manufacture. And so the B size actually has a lower price point, even though it can support more weight. However, some people like the low profile, the smaller aesthetic design of the A size, and so they're willing to pay that higher price point for that. And a common application for that would be a small security camera where you want to keep the mounting components somewhat obscured and hidden from the user. And so there are a small handful of different A size components that are all interchangeable within the A size class. So now we're looking at B size. This is by far the most common ball size, with hundreds of different components to choose from, different types of bases and holders that have the ball integrated into them. This has a 1-inch diameter ball with a standard weight rating of up to 2 pounds. That's for standard environments. And then rugged environments, we rate it for up to 1 pound. Now, when it comes to the B size, C size, and D size, we give 2 different weight ratings depending on the environments, just because these are used in so many different types of environments. Some can be far more extreme than others. So with that in mind, we do give this somewhat of 2 different weight ratings. But more importantly than the weight rating, it's better to have an understanding of what kinds of devices that the ball is used for. So common handheld devices like phones, cameras, GPSs, small tablets, drink cup holders, any kind of a small handheld electronic device, the B size is most commonly used. So because that is the most common type of device out there, that's what makes this one so universal and such a large category with hundreds of different components to choose from. Next, we're looking at the C-size ball. This is a 1.5-inch diameter ball with a weight rating of up to 4 pounds in standard environments and then up to 3 pounds in rugged environments. This is the larger category of handheld devices where it's almost like a two-handed device that you use, like a tablet, maybe a laptop, small fish finders, small monitors. So still very common, but a little more on the heavy-duty and industrial side. But you can see there's still a very wide range of components used on these as well. As you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, the C-size ball is what's used for supporting the laptop trays on our vehicle mounts and is used commonly for mounting smaller fish finders on boats. And we also have a VESA plate for supporting small monitors. Next, we're looking at the D size, which is a 2.25-inch diameter ball that will support up to 6 pounds in a standard environment and then up to 5 pounds in any rugged environment. So common applications for these are going to be your larger monitors, large fish finder head units, vehicle mounted computers, and other similar devices of approximately that size. One thing that's worth pointing out is when we talk about, let's take for instance, fish finders. You can also say this about monitors, but fish finders, defining whether it's quote unquote large or small, that may be somewhat subjective. And that's why the type of environment will be a big factor in this as well. So take, for instance, a fish finder unit that's 10 inches. So take, for instance, fish finders, where there could be a 10-inch fish finder that's considered large for certain applications, but small for other applications. So a 10-inch fish finder mount would probably need a D-size mount if mounted onto a bass boat or onto a boat with a motor that's going to be traveling at high speeds and hitting rough waves. But if that same fish finder unit is going to be used on, say, a kayak, where it's only going to be on calm waters and not nearly as rough of an environment, you can probably get away with using the C-size ball instead of D-size. So considering the environment is an important factor when considering what size ball to use for a certain device. There can be some overlap where a C-size or D-size could be an appropriate solution for the device, but the kind of environment you're going to be in could determine what size to use. So it's not just the size of the device, but it's also the type of environment that it's going to be used in. Lastly, we're looking at the E-size mount here. This is a diameter ball of 3.38 inches. It is fit for supporting up to 15 pounds in standard environments and then up to 10 pounds in rugged environments. Now, the only known application that I'm aware for these is for supporting military-grade computers in Hummers and tanks. So not much variety in terms of the different components that are in the E-size. And that's really because when you're talking about devices that are 10 pounds, 15 pounds or more, there is not as much need for the adjustability that RAM mounts offers. And so most people mounting something this large, they're not really needing the RAM mounts for this use case, except for military computers, or if there is an application where you do still need that adjustability, that's where these components come in. But again, not as common as the smaller device mounting applications. Next, we're going to talk about different types of ball bases. So as you can see here, many different types to choose from, many different styles. So we have to start off with some common mounting points. So when we're talking about how you can mount in any vehicle, there could be many different locations within a vehicle where you can mount something. So it really boils down to the surface that you're connecting a ball to. And so these are the common mounting points to accommodate these different types of surfaces. So starting off with each of these one at a time here, we have an adhesive base. This is a flexible adhesive base that can conform to a curved surface. So that's a great alternative for drill down applications typically require it to be a nice flat surface, where if it's a curved surface, the adhesive works well on that. We have bolt head adapter bases. So imagine a bolt head running through the open hole that's on this base here. So a couple different bases to choose from in this style, where you simply remove the bolt, align the base, and then reattach the bolt, and then that's how you secure your ball. There are common drill down bases to choose from of different sizes. There are flat edge clamps and yoke clamp bases. This particular one here is also great for aviation, for clamping to the yoke in an aircraft. You have vehicle floor mounts that can adapt onto the passenger seat floorboard of a vehicle. You have handlebar and rail bases of many different styles. This one here is implementing a U-bolt base that's available in zinc or stainless steel. We have threaded ball bases. Now, this is in a very wide range. It's called the Tough Ball series that we'll talk about in a different session. But you can simply adapt a ball onto any kind of thread pitch. So any kind of a threaded hole, you can twist a ball into place there. We have suction cup mounts to choose from, whether it's a single, dual, or triple suction cup. There are incredibly heavy-duty magnetic bases that will attach to any ferromagnetic surface, and we have track mounting bases in addition to tracks. So we do have our own unique track systems out there, and then we have mounting components that you can install onto the tracks using the track ball bases. And then getting a little more into some of the unique mounting points. So in addition to the commonly used applications, there are a lot of custom bases that are used. So going from left to right here, we have this cup holder wedge base. So this is called the Ram Stubby. You could actually drop and twist it into a cup holder. There's another type of a wedge base that's called the Ram Tough Wedge that will wedge in between the passenger seat and the center console. So a lot of great options there for vehicles. Great rugged yet still temporary mounting points using the wedge capabilities. For motorcycles, there are many different custom motorcycle bases to choose from. This one here is a fork stem base that can install inside of the center fork stem hole on a motorcycle. We have a unique GoPro mounting base adapter. So any GoPro mounting components that you have, you can integrate it into a double ball and socket mounting system using this component. We have glare shield clamps, just another type of a flat edge clamp to choose from, but this one is also commonly used in aviation. And as you can see, we have ways of adapting multiple components to a single base point using this double ball base. There are also triple ball adapters. There are also multiple types of socket arm accessories. So you can really daisy chain parts together to truly make a custom solution using the different types of ball bases available. So now that there's a basic understanding of the different ball sizes and also mounting components, this is a good opportunity to give a very brief introduction to how the part numbers are named here. So this is somewhat of a unique language to learn. As far as you see a part number, you can have a general idea of what you're looking at just by looking at the part number. So each of these three parts have the number 202 in it, and that's somewhat of a generic base component. There are many components that contain 202, but you'll see that there's a letter before the 202. There is the B size, which is RAM-B-202U, and then C size is RAM-202U, D size is RAM-D-202U. Now, the first thing you might notice is that there is no C before the 202. Now, the reason for that is the C size was actually the original RAM ball and socket system. So, in the early days of National Products, when there was the original ball and socket system, this was only made available in one size. It's what we now refer to as the C size, but originally it was a one size fits all. There weren't as many options at the time because RAM was still an early company. But as we've expanded and as we've offered more solutions, we simply integrated multiple ball and socket sizes. And by doing this, we had our one main size here. This was the 1.5-inch diameter ball. We developed two smaller sizes, so that brought us the A size and B size. And then we created two larger sizes, D size and E size. So that's how we now have our family of 5 different ball size categories, with the standard C size being the one in the middle, but that's why that part number does not have a letter before, because this was the original RAM ball and socket system. One other thing to note is that you'll see a lot of part numbers that contain a U at the end. That simply means unpackaged. There will be a lot of retail versions of these part numbers that do not contain the U, and so in most cases you can ignore the U that's in the part number there. So that gives an understanding. RAM-B-202U, you can tell by looking at that it is the B size 1-inch ball being used. So now we're going to talk about the double socket arms, which connect to these ball bases, and there's a lot of information on just these arm components themselves. So diving right in, the best way to get a look at this is by analyzing the exploded view of what all goes into a double socket arm. So looking at the anatomy here, any given double socket arm consists of 2 main arm half castings. Those are the exact same castings, so it's symmetrical, and they come together and joined by a stainless steel bolt in the middle. Most arms will have a spring that's offset to the side. There's one variation of this that does not include the spring on the side. And then so the bolt goes through the castings, and then up top you have a nylon washer, and then a stainless steel washer, and then you have a knob with a brass insert that goes through here. Now, one thing that's very important to keep in mind is the proper placement of these washers. They will block this hex pocket on here. So taking into account that both of these socket arms are the exact same, there's a hex pocket on both sides. One will receive the bolt going through, and then the other needs to be covered by these washers. If you do not have the washers on the hex hole, what will happen is as someone is tightening down on the knob, if they over tighten it, it could actually cause the brass thread to strip through and go into that hex hole. So the washers being in the proper place are very important to prevent that from happening. The bolt also has grease on the threads, so it makes for a nice smooth tightening and loosening of the mounting system. Now, there are times when someone might see a double socket arm and they might think that one of the springs are missing, but it's actually by design that the spring is meant to be offset to one side, as you can see here. And what this does is that it allows one half of the socket arm to open up before the other half, so you can loosen one side of the mount while still maintaining a certain degree of pressure on the opposite side. And this makes it easier to make a quick adjustment to one side of the ball and socket joint so that you're not having to hold the entire system up the moment that you loosen the arm. And it's also a great way if you're interchanging your components, maybe you're swapping from one ball base to another, or if you're interchanging from one device to another device, it makes it a lot easier to loosen the knob and to remove just one side of the mount without removing the entire system. So for ball bases, we've talked about the different sizes. Now, mainly for socket arms, we're going to talk about the different lengths that are used in the 3 main common sizes. So for this, we're really just going to focus on the B size, C size, and D size. Because A size and E size are not that common, we're just going to focus on these 3 here. So for these 3 sizes, there are 3 main lengths to choose from. There is a short version, a medium length version, and a long length version. So this is really where all the different options come in play with a given mounting solution in terms of how long someone wants the arm to come out, if they want something that comes out relatively far, or if they want it to be at a nice low profile. You have 3 main lengths to choose from. Now, this is a little complicated to explain at first, but this visual should lay it out pretty well. I'll just kind of read what's up top here. The short and long lengths of each socket arm are approximately equal to the standard length of a neighboring ball and socket size. So what does that mean exactly? Let's take, for instance, the B size socket arm here. So among the B size arms, we have a short, medium, and long. Now, if you look at the medium, the length of the medium is about equal to the length of the shorter next size up. So for C size, you have your short, medium, long here. So the short C size is about equal to the medium B size. And then if you go further, the medium C size is about equal to the short D size, which is also about equal to the long B size, as you can see there. So we were looking at part numbers containing 202 with the ball bases, and now we have a structure of these socket arms where you have part numbers that contain 201. If you were to do a search on rammount.com right now for 201, you would see nothing but socket arms come up. Every double socket arm contains a 201 in it, just like this. The only difference between these are the placements of the letters. So the first thing that we'll rule out right now is the U in each of these part numbers. As I said in the previous slide, the U simply means unpackaged, so we can ignore the U portion. But let's take a look at this first one. There's RAM-B, as in Bravo, -201U-A. What this means is the letter before the 3-digit number indicates the ball and socket size. So this is a B-size double socket arm with the -A at the end equaling the A size length. So the letter before the number is the size, and then the letter after the code is referencing the length. So you'll see the medium version, RAM-B-201U, does not have a letter. If you remember, the C size drill down ball base was RAM-202U. There was no letter there because that was considered the original standard. So the medium is like the standard length of the double socket arm for that class. So a B-201U is assumed to be the medium length, and then the long version is RAM-B-201U-C. So understanding that is what's important with understanding B to C, B size ball, C size length, which is about equal to the medium length of the C size standard. And that might have sounded confusing, so I'm just going to go back to that previous slide one more time here. Remember B to C, so B size ball, C size length is about equal to the standard of the C size. So that's a better way of putting it so that you understand the part numbers a little bit better. So let's take, for instance, the C size long arm, the one that's being circled right here, RAM-201U-D. So it's a C size arm, RAM-201U-D equals D size length, which is about equal to the medium of the D size length there. So if that takes a few minutes to process, feel free to pause the video at this point and study those two slides to get a better understanding. But anyone who knows those part numbers and understands the logic of those part numbers, a lot of other part numbers will immediately click and will make a lot more sense. So that's a great way of learning how the part number naming conventions are structured. So next we're going to talk about holders, all the different styles of holders, all the different types of devices we can support using the different variety of holders that RamMount offers. So when looking at the holders, it's really most important to understand all the different types of features and variations that are available in these holders. So just going around each of these here, we offer ball adapters. So a ball adapter can go directly to a device, such as a printer, monitor, some sort of a screen where there might be a hole pattern on the back. There are AMPS hole patterns. AMPS hole pattern we'll share in just a moment, but there are also VESA hole patterns to accommodate for typical and common hole pattern mounting to go directly to a device. Or if the device does not have any hole pattern, then we start looking at universal holders to choose from. That all comes down to the dimensions that are needed for the device, looking at the height, width, and thickness of the device. So this will range from supporting devices with or without a case. So this is the RAM Tab Tight and Tab Lock series that we'll look at in a separate session. But as you can see, we have interchangeable end cups to accommodate different sizes of devices and different thicknesses if the device is in a case. There are locking and non-locking powered docking stations to choose from. So you can see there's powered and passive, and then also locking or non-locking, many other different types of features. So really just getting all the features and functionality that a user might need in the device and integrating into our holders. So it's not just holding the device and securing it in place, but accomplishing and achieving all the different features that are needed while the device is mounted. And lastly, there are form fit and universal options to choose from for a given device. So if someone is wanting that form factor, or if the form factor is not available, we will at least have universal holders to choose from. So taking a look at the hole patterns, we have something that we call the AMPS hole pattern. That's AMPS, all caps. So this is the RAM-B202U. This is the drill down base that we were looking at before. Now we know that this is the B size 1-inch ball, knowing that the part numbers, the letters before the 202 there. But looking at this view, this might be confusing at first because you'll see it just looks like a round base with a bunch of holes on it. It has a total of 7 holes, but there are actually 2 very specific hole patterns that are built into this base. The first one is what we call the amps 4-hole pattern. Those are the 4 holes marked in green right here. So you can pause to kind of see the relation of the holes. So the side with 3, you have one on the bottom and one at the top. And then on the side with 2 up top and 2 on bottom, they're the ones closest to the side edge there. So it almost looks like a square shape, but it's actually a slight rectangular shape. And this is really just an industry standard hole pattern that's used in many different industries and applications. And it's also the hole pattern that we use on all of our ram mount holders, docks, and cradles. And then shown in red here is what we call the 3-hole 120-degree hole pattern. So not as many components or not as commonly utilized of a hole pattern, but that's what the other 3-hole pattern is right here. So just depending on what's needed between a 3-hole or 4-hole pattern, that's the distinction that's being made. On the otherwise might seem confusing 7 holes, looks like random holes on there, but there is structure between 2 different unique hole patterns on this ball base. So that previous slide, we were looking at a round base, and then here's what we call a diamond base. So anyone that's typically referring to ram parts, we might refer to round bases or diamond bases or round ball or diamond ball. That's really what these 2 parts here. You'll see this part number here is RAM-B-238U. The 238 is always indicating a diamond ball base of some sort. So a C-size ball is RAM-238U. As you can see, it has a diamond shape with 2 holes on here. And now this is still considered an amps hole pattern. It's simply an amps 2-hole pattern instead of amps 4-hole pattern. So what does that mean exactly? As you can see here with the round plate referenced, you can see that these holes will line up diagonally with 2 of the 4 holes on the common amps 4-hole pattern. So that's what makes this a 2-hole. So really either base can work on any set of amps hole patterns. It's just a matter of what form factor is most practical for a given application. And so I said a moment ago that all RAM holders and docks will integrate the amps hole pattern somewhere within it. So this is a form factor Apple iPad holder that has different variations of the amps hole pattern. You can see the round plate connected on the back, and that's with a C-size round ball. And then here is a phone holder. This is the RAM Quick Grip or Quick Grip XL, and that has the amps 2-hole pattern right there where the diamond ball connects on the back. Next, we're going to talk about the materials that are used in various ram mount products. These will range from metal to composite options. The main takeaway here understanding the materials is that we will utilize a variety of different types of materials among all of our products that are determined by a number of factors, and this is based on the cost effectiveness. So we do have a relatively higher price point because these are premium materials that are being used, but we want to be practical in terms of not going overkill on certain types of components. So holders will generally be of a high strength composite, where the lower components, the base components, will more typically be metal, whether it's marine grade aluminum or powder coated steel. We also consider the reliability and longevity of the products, considering that the mounts are backed by a lifetime warranty, and also considering the intended environment. This could be saltwater versus freshwater applications, and a lot of it also comes down to personal preferences and also the safety of the consumer. Now, that reminds me of another point, separate from materials, but in terms of the consumer safety, is the fact that you'll notice on our components that there are no sharp edges. So there's always a rounded corner on our components to prevent the scraping of any arm or elbow, any part that might be close to the person's body. If they're brushed up against it, the round corners will prevent from scraping against anything. But again, the main takeaway here is the fact that we are as effective and efficient as possible in utilizing the best and most practical materials in all ram mount components. Now, the most common ram mount components are made up of what we call marine grade aluminum that has a black powder coated paint coating over it. So these are what the marine grade aluminum components look like with and without the powder coated paint over top. You can see the castings there, and you can also see what the post looks like before the ball is put on top. And then we have other components that are a little more lightweight, and we refer to those as high strength composite materials. Now, we don't necessarily refer to them as plastics, and that's really just because there are different types of high strength composites that are used on different types of components. So, for example, fishing rod holder components and ball base components, those have more of a glass filled nylon, so it's way stronger than other types of composites out there. Whereas with holders and cradles, we want the material to have a little more flex to it because you are flexing the holder when you're inserting the device into the holder, and so this uses more of an ABS material. We also have some marine grade aluminum components that are made with a chrome plated finish instead of black powder coated paint, as you can see here. And now the real difference between these, they have the exact same durability as the standard marine grade aluminum parts. This is truly for aesthetic purposes only. So like a Harley Davidson user, motorcycle applications, they might want that finished chrome look throughout the bike. And so we simply offer those ram mount components with that chrome plated finish. Again, it is just for aesthetic purposes only, but it does have a significantly higher price point than the standard black powder coated parts. So here we're looking at an example of the RAM no drill laptop mount, which is a great example of looking at the mixture and combination of different materials that are used throughout a system. And it's a great way to show how we are practical about the materials that are being used. So if you start from the bottom, where you have the base and telepole components, this is made of black powder coated steel. And then up top, you have your marine grade aluminum swing arms. So heavy duty, but not quite as heavy duty as the steel, and that's because it's higher up in the system. And then up top, you have the high strength composite laptop tray. So the higher up you go, the lighter it becomes. One strong consideration with this is the fact that you do not want too heavy of a material that's being at the top of the solution, because then that's more weight that the bottom of the mount is supporting. So to reduce the amount of leverage and strain, to really help the mount support the weight of the device more so than the weight of the mount itself, we are practical and efficient in the materials that we use there. So as we're coming towards the end of today's session, it's important just to cover some key features and functions that are built into RAM mount products. It's a lot more than simply mounting one thing to a place or mounting a device to a vehicle. We take into account all the functions and features that are needed. RAM mounts are really in the business of solving problems and making life easier in as many ways as possible. So that starts with mounting valuable electronics in a reliable sense in various vehicles and environments, but also giving you all the features and functionality that you need, even if that includes enhanced features and functions. So looking at a few of these examples here, we make solutions that involve key locking, so you can lock your mount down, lock down the docking station, whether it's a key lock or combination lock options. Our mounting options range from low profile to long length extension arms. We have quick release options. So we have permanent, semi-permanent, temporary types of mounting. We have power docking stations as well as passive versions of these docks. So that can include USB Type A connections, like the example shown here. We also have power delivery charging options. So many different ways to power your device simultaneously with other peripherals. And so that's what this peripheral support refers to here. We have docking stations that break out to multiple USB ports. So the moment you dock your device into the holder, you're immediately connected to your ecosystem of other peripherals and charging sources. There are many ergonomic accessories to choose from, such as the RAM handstand, there's a shoulder strap accessory, and more so with GDS products, which we'll cover in another session. We have ways of absorbing shock and vibration in extreme environments, and also extreme environment accessories can include a high torque wrench to help tighten down the mount further to make it suitable for the roughest environments. We have different types of cable management accessories, so securing cables, securing your connection is a big priority on our end. And also we have overheat protection on certain docking stations and also on the RAM tough case. Many more beyond this, but this really gives an idea of us really going above and beyond, not just to provide a reliable mounting solution, but to take into account all features and functions and really taking into account the user in mind to make this as easy and user-friendly of a mounting solution as possible. And so RAM does have a variety of solutions that somewhat goes beyond mounting, but it's really enhancements that go with the types of environments where you're going to be using these mounts. So for fleets that have multiple devices, you have multi-port docking stations that can account for multiple devices here. We have various types of chargers. These can be wall chargers, CLA adapters or SIG adapters. There are many different types of hardware chargers with different types of power specs and requirements with different input ranges to support the various requirements of all the devices out there. We have skins and cases for the most common devices, and also a touchscreen monitor that allows the use of Samsung DeX. We have various hubs to choose from, as well as GDS keyboards. Some have a trackpad, and then some have a 10-key numeric pad. There are multiple types of speakers that RAM offers. This one includes a push-to-talk breakout feature, and also there is a RAM microphone that can be integrated with the push-to-talk speaker as well. So this is an example of just non-mounting but also high-quality, durable accessories that are very well paired with the mounting solutions that are offered. So just taking a quick glimpse at the various industries that are served here. As you can see, this can range from various consumer activities to industrial businesses. This can be for aviation, whether it's private or commercial aviation. We have mounts for consumer vehicles as well as transportation, heavy-duty trucking, for any forklift applications. Us being a manufacturer, we actually put our mounts to very good use within our own facilities. Our mounts serve really well for the healthcare industry as well as accessibility and for wheelchairs. This also includes agriculture, boating applications, whether it's for kayak users or industrial marine applications, and also surveying equipment, public safety, government, field service, all kinds of different industries out there. Having an understanding of RAM mounts is kind of like having a new car where you start to see your own car in more places because it's in your mind a little bit more. And so with an understanding of RAM mounts, you actually will start seeing RAM mounts in real life applications more often because now it's a product that you're aware of. But as you can see here, it covers such a wide range of different industries and activities for consumers and businesses, really just improving many different people's lives as a global product. So that's going to cover it for today's product training session. There are going to be many more sessions that dive deep into different types of product categories, different types of industries out there. So for anyone that's new to RAM mounts, I hope this was a useful training tool for you, and feel free to go back and look at previous slides. Feel free to reach out to your department heads or account managers if you have any follow-up questions, and they'll be happy to assist with further information. But I want to thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.